there and welcome to my channel. My name is Samina and today I'm going to talk to you about a book that's been recommended to me left and right, and that is Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Probably. I hope so. Yeah, this is my third time filming this video because I realized that when I read from a script I sound like a robot, so I am going to try to freehand this. Freehand? I don't know. One of those things. Anyway, this video should probably come with a bit of a trigger warning because the Midnight Library deals with some pretty heavy topics of self-harm and mental health and mentions of suicide, so if that's something that triggers you, skip this video. Although the book itself kind of deals with these topics in a very sensitive manner, so your mileage might vary depending on how sensitive you are to these topics. The Midnight Library is a novel that was published last year, late September. It's a book about this woman called Nora Seed, who's 30 something, and she kind of hit her rock bottom. Her cat died. She got fired from her job, which is a dead end. She's stuck in her small town where she grew up, which doesn't really have that many opportunities, and she just had a pretty shit run with her life, so she decides to commit suicide. And she takes this overdose of antidepressants. There's many mentions of her taking antidepressants throughout the book. When she does, she wakes up in this library that is called the Midnight Library, where she meets her old high school librarian. It's not actually her librarian, but it's like the way her brain interprets things, sort of, kind of, so she can deal with, experiencing death easier. And she's not dead yet, and this whole library is just a library of all of the possible lives that she could be living as a result of every single choice that she makes. If you're familiar with the theory of multiverses, that's kind of how it is. So each time when she makes a decision or doesn't make a decision, like her path diverges, and on one hand you have like the decision that she made and the opposite part. So a little river goes psh, 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 psh. Very excellent explanation, but I think you get what I mean. She's feeling very sorry for herself, so she decides, and with the help of her librarian slash manifestation of her brain, to go into these possible lives that she could be living where she has done something that she regrets not doing. For example, training more to become a Olympic swimmer, and she goes into that life and experiences it and doesn't like it, goes back, and so on. She has a lot of these regrets, so she does it again and again and again, just to find a life that feels the best for her. What I think made this book really popular was the exact timing of when it was published. So as it was published in September 2020, we were 6 months into a pandemic. And a lot of people have been struggling with mental health, probably having too much time on their hands with not being able to go out and hang out with people. So thinking about your lives and evaluating them. I know that I was doing that a lot. That's why I made some pretty drastic decisions last year, for example, to go back to school, etc. The author has a very beautiful way of talking about mental illness, and it's very obvious that he has some very personal experience with it. I myself relate with Nora because I have gone through bouts of depression in my late teens and early 20s. mostly because of the pressure that I felt from my environment to perform well and be successful, you know, in a very traditional sort of sense of being successful. And there's a scene in the book where Nora bumps into a friend that she went to school with, and pretty much I had the exact same thing happen in real life. And a few years ago, pre-pandemic, I was in the public transport and I saw someone I went to school with, and they said, I was like, oh, what are you doing? You know, the usual. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm taking a break from school, I'm working. And they said, oh, you know, why? I thought you would be more successful because you had so much potential and stuff. And I was like, well, that's very depressing. That scene will always be with me because I did put a lot of pressure on myself, still do, but not as much as I did, because I recognize that getting pressure from outside is not very good for my motivation to actually do anything. It kind of has to be internal. So yeah, that was a fun experience. Even though I still haven't reached success academically, I'm working on it. I'm in my second year of software engineering, which is going pretty well, if I might say so myself. And I think that a lot of people can relate to Nora, because I'm sure there are so many people out there who felt the same way I do, and as Nora does, as someone who's always been like pretty smart and clever, whatever, and people always had these really big expectations of them, and then they just kind of didn't reach them because, you know, we're actually all pretty mediocre, and people who are exceptional are extremely rare, so we wouldn't be calling them exceptional if they weren't rare. It's okay to be average, is what I'm saying. Putting all of that aside, Nora wasn't a very likable character. She really wasn't a character that's easy to like, because she felt so sorry for herself. And I know, which sounds super terrible, because she is depressed and she's going through these things. She has tried to commit suicide and stuff. So we should have some compassion for her. But maybe because I'm so used to these characters who go and kick ass and do all of these things and are so self-motivated, and it was actually kind of refreshing to see someone who is self-sabotaging in a way, because that's what depression does to you. I feel so mad at myself for not liking Nora enough or feeling empathetic for her, because it shows that I kind of internalized that feeling of, okay, if you're depressed, you're the one to blame, which is totally not true. Sometimes, a lot of the times, it's just your brain is just the way it is. You know, it's a chemical imbalance. It's not like you just wake up one morning and decide that you're gonna feel better. And I felt so mad at myself for feeling this slight distaste for her, because I've I've had depression. I've dealt with it. I should be more empathetic to her, but I'm not. And now that I think about it, it's like there are some people who never actually went through depression. And then that's how they see us, who are not peak performers in the society because of what we're going through. And that made me really sad. Maybe I didn't explain that pretty well, but I would love to hear your thoughts about that. But I think it's such a complicated emotion to feel. I don't know. I feel bad. Yeah, this just goes to show how people who struggle with mental health are so stigmatized in our society, that even if you are going through that stuff, you're still gonna have those feelings, even though you think that you can be empathetic to people going through the same thing. Yeah, I'm glad I got that out of my chest. Off my chest, out of my chest. Whatever. One of those expressions. The one thing that I didn't like about the Midnight Library is that the plot is extremely predictable. So I kind of, in the first third of the book, I was like, okay, I know where this is going. I know how it's going to end up. And that was, of course, confirmed when I did finish the book. Even though the writing is absolutely beautiful and there are some scenes that really made me think about life and, finding motivation and actually how long life is. People just say that life is so short, but it is the longest thing that we do. I know that's a quote from someone. I don't know who. If you know who, please let me know. But yeah, life is the longest thing we do, and it's literally never too late to do anything. And I really need to hear that sometimes, because a lot of my peers, have master's degrees, and I still haven't finished my bachelor's, even though I'm going to be 25 soon, which in the grand scheme of things, it's not that old to start your career. It's not old at all, but there's still that pressure. Again, there's still that pressure to be successful, and be successful very young. Some of us just don't get there. Some of us have palettes in our lives that are a little bit wonky. I think it's actually pretty rarely that your life goes like in a straight line and you hit all the milestones that you should, like, okay, you finish high school and then you go to college or trade school or whatever, or find a job, and then you find a partner, and then you get married, and then you have kids, and then you do whatever that comes after that. I don't know, what is the next step after having kids? Buying a house, maybe that comes before. I don't know. These timelines are absolutely crazy. All in all, The Midnight Library was a really lovely book about choices we make, the regrets, and the paths we take in our lives. If you need a little bit of a pick-me-up, if you're feeling a little uncertain about how fast you're going and all the things you've done, I recommend this book. It's not going to change your life, but it's a nice, comfortable read. This is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I decided that I am, from now on, going to be a booktube YouTuber. A book YouTuber. I'm gonna read books, I'm gonna review them. If you like that, please subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Dislike it if you disliked it. Write any comment that you want. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.